My name is Jahanara Rahuldev. I am a senior director at Parexel. I've been in the field of clinical research for over 2 decades now, and very happy to be a part of this panel. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, like everybody said, it's very well researched and very well established that having more women in leadership positions is just good for the organization, right? It's financially better off. Such organizations are proven to be more inclusive, more innovative, and also on the softer side, more empathetic. So I think all the things that we want from our organizations and very much the reasons why we should have more women in leadership in corporate India.
The question that I'll come around the table with now is, what was the biggest roadblock that you faced in your career?
So, like many women, I guess, I took a break quite early on in my career. After I think around 3 years of working, I got married, had kids, and then took a couple of years off. And when I was ready to come back to work, for me, it was so my family was very supportive. I had the infrastructure I needed, to be able to come back. But for me personally, the shift, the mindset change was very difficult. Coming from a world of babies, bottles, diapers, and back to the corporate world, it seemed very intimidating at that time. I remember sitting in the reception, waiting for my interview, seeing all these girls walking up and down and thinking, oh my God, can I really do this? It was so different from what I'd been doing in those last 2 years. But I did, take up a position. I joined, and then and because I had a break, I was now behind in my career. So my peers were all younger than me by a few years. Their lives were very different. I was the only one who had children. So, and I didn't know the word at that time, but it wasn't a very inclusive environment. And, I recognize that now, but at that time I just felt different. And so that was another thing. And also the pressure on myself, because now I saw myself as a few years behind in my career, right? So I wanted to catch up. I wanted to make up for the time lost. So these were not really roadblocks, as in there was no external force that was stopping me from doing anything. In fact, I had a lot of support, which, worked out really well for me. But for me, mentally, these were the challenges that I had to kind of overcome to be able to move ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Jahanara. The second question at the table would be, what program or policy or initiative at your company has contributed significantly to increasing a woman's rise up the ladder? And the third question is, what change do you feel is necessary for women and companies to make in order to increase women at leadership levels, especially in a post-COVID world, right? We are living in a world that has, been turned upon its head. So there's no way we can leave that out of the conversation. I'd really appreciate it if you would include that in your answer as well.
So as an organization, we have a leadership that's very focused on, ensuring that we give a lot more opportunities to women. So clinical research is a field where you actually see at the starting levels quite an equitable, number of men and women. In fact, you see more women. But just like with every other industry, as you go up the career ladder, it keeps, getting smaller and smaller. So as an organization, our leadership is very committed to changing this. We have some really good programs which identify women at mid-management, senior management level, actually bring them together and then enable them, give them the skills required to move into leadership roles. So it's like a network that we create with a group of women. There's a mentor, there's a formalized training program and so on. So that really helps upskill. And also you have the support group. So for me, when I went through the program, of course, the learning was important. There were so many things that you didn't know that you suddenly come to realize are important, while you move up the career ladder. But that network, that peer group that is established is invaluable because you can really count on that group, for everything that you need in terms of support. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we're also educating our men. making them aware of what they need to do to have a more, so that we can have a more equitable workforce. So it's not just focusing on the women, but also on the men. Make them realize the small things that they may, all the different types of unconscious bias that comes into things like hiring, meeting dynamics, promotions, the way work is allocated, all of that. So just sensitizing our men as to what they may be doing that they should do differently. And like Ganga just mentioned, looking at the metrics, being aware of the metrics, where do we stand, where should we be, and so on. So in terms of programs that kind of, what does the organization do? These are some of the things that we're doing. And the other part of the question, Kajal, the post-COVID situation for women, again, it's a very well-known fact that women have taken the brunt of this whole pandemic situation in terms of, the number of women that have had to leave their careers and so on. I think organizations need to be more empathetic towards the whole situation. Look at what we're expecting of women now more than ever. Just because we're at home doesn't mean we're always available to take calls, to answer to emails immediately, because I think that expectation somewhere has crept in, not only from women, but from everybody, that, because you're at home, you're available 24/7 for work. So I think organizations need to rethink that and put some structure into how we really work and what we expect from our people. And also look at policies such as sick leaves, other benefits that would support women to go through this. I mean, and not just women really, but also women to go through these, these difficult times. So yeah, so in short, I think this is what we should be doing.
Thank you, Jahanara. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think COVID was more a gender equalizer than anything that's ever been, right? With men and women working with the same situation from home, having to deliver, with whether it was family or work, it was all there and they were in it together. So it was an absolute gender equalizer. We couldn't have learned more from